Good morning, everyone. It is More Good News Wednesday. It's no more hump day. It's always More Good News Wednesday. We got more good news today than ever before. I look forward to Wednesday. The used to be hump day. Now it's just more good news. Just all piling in every Wednesday to me. More and more good news for everyone. Blaine, everyone I see there. Good morning. Good morning, Marcel. More good news to you. More good news, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, Rachel. More good news to you. Ryan, good news to you. All right. Rob Deerdeck, more good news to you. Jakey Bakey, it is more good news Monday. Let's see what questions we have. Let me pin this up as well. Hold on one second. I'm going to pin that. If you want my book, ebook, audio book, I'll sign a book, send it to you, and ship it to you. David@dmeltzer.com. It's pinned right here. Jason, more good news to you. Jesus, LFG, and more good news to you. Justin, you're sharing more good news. I saw that with Blue Wire in the new studio that we have there at the Win with the playbook, Sports and Entertainment, Blue Wire. We are so excited. Check it out. If you haven't downloaded the playbook, do so. Over 800 episodes of billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, entertainers. If you can't find it, just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. What's the difference between sympathy and empathy? Sympathy is how you feel for someone else. So you can't feel bad enough to make someone feel good. You can't be sick enough to make someone well. You can't be poor enough to make someone rich. Empathy is far more powerful. It works within the context of connectivity, of clearing the interference between you and everyone else. Empathy is forgiveness. And the first person you need to forgive is yourself, because you can't give what you don't have. But if we work and live in a world of forgiveness, we understand the intent of sinlessness and the effect of sinlessness. Two things that will propel the feeling of forgiveness and empathy, of connecting us, of clearing the interference that we create, the meaning of the interference of separation. This Friday we'll be healing that separation, healing those relationships that we have, healing the interference. We are healed. We are happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. What are we doing to heal that, to clear the interference between us and that which we already are? Let's take another question real quickly. What does make yourself equal than make yourself different mean? Well, in a sales situation with what other people consider competitors, I use the strategy of pointing out how we are equal to that which other people like about our competitors, and then I illustrate what we do different or better that may also pertain to what they like or dislike about the previous aforementioned competitor. So we make ourselves equal first. We don't put down the competitor. We don't create separation. We look to see what we do the same and see what the person likes and dislikes about what they're doing today, and show how we can provide more service value or a better solution by making ourselves equal, then making ourselves better, instead of a lot of people have judgments, conditions, and attacks, lower their own vibration by putting down their competitors. There's no need to do that. Look within, make yourself equal, appreciate the equality, and then go ahead and focus in on what you can do, provide more value, a better solution or service as well. But you don't have to put anybody down. There's no attacks or judgments that's going to do anyone anything well. So it's 8:05. I'm looking for Allison Soul, the founder of Soul PR. Allison Campbell, why don't you give me a quick shout out? Aaron Wexler, what's going on? Good morning. It's More Good News Wednesday. I got more good news for you. And Chico, yes. How do you forgive yourself? Sit there with mantras and tell yourself, I forgive myself. Look and see what you've learned the minute you've learned a lesson, pain that you've created for yourself. So you are accountable. Allison is here. Thank you, Jakey. There she is. Good morning.
Good morning, David. How are you?
I'm amazing. Allison Campbell here, the founder of Heart and Soul PR. Give me a little bit of background. I mean, you've been in PR and marketing for quite a time, and things have changed tremendously as I've been in the same business, synergistically working through sports and entertainment for a long time. You know, what innovations have changed in the PR industry, and what has changed with the brands, or how you provide value to those brands? Because you've worked with some of the biggest global brands in the world.
Thank you so much for having me too, David, and a great question. It's so good to be here. Love your smile. We have the same bracelet, by the way. I wore it for you today. Yes, there we go. So, some good vibes today to everybody. Hope you're doing great on this Wednesday. So, David, so much has changed, as you know, but I think that's the beauty of any kind of business. So, PR or any business, things are going to ebb and flow, guys. Just know that. And that's one thing I think that's really helped throughout my career. I'm someone who gets really passionate about an idea. And if a client doesn't buy into it, I'm like, why not? That was early on in my career. I would just like not understand why someone wasn't going for it. And then I got to the point where I'm like, okay, you can, as they say, lead the horse to water, David, but they're not always going to drink. So one thing I think that has definitely changed in the world of PR is kind of, when I
Oh no, can the people hear? We give me a thumbs up. Anyway, things have changed in PR because of the brands themselves, but also they've changed to the positive. And so hopefully I will get Allison back here to talk about not only how things have changed, but the positive side of the scale, the scope, the reach that not only global brands have had, but now emerging brands can have that global reach and tell their story. We'll let Allison readjust in there, and she's here. We'll have her join again. Uh, we can't control all the technology. If my car worked like my technology, I never get anywhere. All right, so we are talking about things have changed with these global brands, but they've changed for the better. Especially for emerging brands, because 15 years ago when we were in business, an individual brand, a small brand, an emerging brand could never reach 6.4 billion people so easily. What have you done in that transition with the positive things that have changed, and being able to blend the patience with persistence of building a brand for someone?
David, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Great to be back, guys. Sorry about that. Not sure what happened. Yeah, so the positive things are always looking at the future. Of course, being present, I think, is incredibly important throughout life. So I have some life lessons and PR lessons, right, David? But it's that constant evolution, right? So people have always called me a trend spotter. You want to think about where things are going. You want to look at where things are going. And then the best PR practitioners and business people, David, are the ones that are saying, oh, I see that happening. I can tell you now, you want to be a part of this. So, for example, when bloggers first became a thing, I was very close working with, they didn't actually even like being called mom bloggers, by the way. They were just moms who were like hard workers, who very much like a lot of the guests on your podcast have just bootstrapped it. Like, I want to do this. I'm going to make some extra money for my family. And it grew. I was working with Ree Drummond, the pioneer woman that you probably see on Food Network now, well before she was the pioneer woman, just, doing cool posts on behalf of brands, things like that. So I was on the front of that, sort of call it blogger influencer movement. It was still very much, and still one thing that remains the same is this personal touch that you need to have. And that is courting these bloggers, influencers as real humans. And same with press. I deal with press every day, David. I've built friendships. I've built, great, incredible connections with these people because they're all humans. But it takes that human touch. It takes that art of communication in dealing with everyone. That's why I've been in this business for so long. That's why I love training young women. We're an all woman powered team here at Heart and Soul, the next generation of those best media practices. And it starts no matter what kind of business you're doing, that human touch, making that relationship, just like you and I, David, just like anyone you're talking to, your network, it's that human to human connection.
Yeah, the emotional connection, the relationships, and the credibility of being a friend and being credible and a good friend to people and being abundant and helping other people, and especially women. You've built this extraordinary brand for yourself. You're not only a brand spotter, but you're a brand maker. So there is a nuance of some of the people that we work with. We may set them on a course that seems to be a trend to spot, but it takes a certain amount of persistent, consistent perspective that, as a PR person, there's, an aspirational and inspirational component, just like being a sports agent. There's days where your clients don't see it. They don't believe in the exponential growth and the compound interest plan of building a brand and a community. And there's a lot of rejection. And people, I'd like to ask you about this because this is one of my favorite things in PR. I think the most difficult thing to deal with as an agent, a PR agent, a sports agent, is that people don't know what they don't know in respects to they're not ready for some things. So they come in and they say, I want the cover of Entrepreneur Magazine, or I want to be on Joe Rogan's podcast, or I want to be on the Tonight Show, or whatever it may be. And I will tell you, even for the years that I had to deal with athletes telling me, why didn't I get the Smart Water deal? I won the Rhodes Scholarship. I'm the NFL's Academia Player of the Year. How come I didn't get the Smart Water deal? I'm like, well, because Jennifer Aniston was in the TV show Friends, and the entire world knows who she is. You may be more academic than she is, but that doesn't matter when it comes to branding. Well, even when I started, because of the relationships I had, there were several things that I pushed my team and PR agency to do that in reflection, looking back, I forgive myself, but I wasn't ready. And now I'm being invited to some really big things, and I'm holding off because I want to have a bigger community to take advantage of it. And I have more radical humility. How do you manage that ego expectation that, I'm already there. I have it. I know I only have 12 followers, but I should be on the Good Morning America.
I love this question so much, David, and I'm so glad you asked because it's so important, that radical humility. One of the things we do first thing when we onboard a new client is literally what we call our playbook, just like the name of your podcast. And it has the rules of engagement, and that is setting expectations up front. And guys, this is for any business that you do. Obviously, this applies very specifically to the question that you're asking, David, for me in PR. We have to really talk on that upfront, set those expectations upfront. Clients may not like to hear it. David, my capabilities deck, I have a letter that I've signed in there that says, I may tell you something you don't want to hear. And those are some of the best clients and colleagues and people on our teams that can also tell us, maybe we didn't want to hear it, but we needed to hear it. So it's about that expectation setting. It's about the expectation management. There's many PR practitioners, unfortunately, who've spoiled the industry a little bit, who've spoiled clients by unfortunately building themselves or the person up too much. And then we come in and often have to clean up that mess and say, oh, well, that actually isn't a realistic expectation. Understand you want to get there. Here's ways to get there. But it's that readiness you're talking about too, David. I once had a prospective client come, and she and I sat down for a great coffee. Here's all my goals. I put together this huge plan for her. And she was actually like positively overwhelmed with it. And she said, wow, you know what, Allison, this is amazing. This is amazing work. I want to work with you, but guess what? I'm not ready. She was humble enough to say that. And I think more business owners and business people and entrepreneurs need to know when you're not ready. And you talked about this on your podcast too, about investing, David. You have to be able to take that radical humility, ask those questions, and then get that advice from someone who's been there maybe 20, 30, 40 years. Don't just assume you know it.
Yeah, and don't just assume feedback is correct. So, one of the other things that fooled me early in my career is, I can speak in front of 5,000 people and 100 people would stay, tell me how amazing I was. They'd have me sign my book, and, someone may stay even an hour, and at the end say, I just said, I stayed to say thank you. But in the end, you don't know about the other 4,900 people. And I've been told yes so many times. I'm one of the few people, believe it or not, every time I speak, I go back and ask for constructive criticism. I don't want to hear, I said, look, I am so glad that you hired me to speak. I appreciate it. I don't want any positive feedback. I tell them straight out. I said, if you can't give me one thing I can improve on, then you weren't listening to my speech. So I'd like to know, your least favorite thing, or where I missed the mark, or what didn't make sense, or, where I came across as arrogant or egotistical. I want something that I can learn from, so I can get better. And it took me years to learn that. I had some pretty big deals with big companies, 8 speeches, 10 speeches, and I just took yes for an answer, and I never got better. And I wasted all that time. And I think the same thing's true with a good PR agent. After an interview, it does your client no good to say, oh my God, you were amazing, and think that you're going to keep them as a client. You need to say, look, you know how you did, but let me give you how you can get better. And I know your reputation, Allison, which is why I wanted you on here, because you are honest. You create a go, no go plan. You manage expectations for the betterment of your clients. And you take a long, people don't mind hard, but they mind long. And so it's hard to deal in our industry with the long scope and scale of a brand. I appreciate all the great talent you bring on my podcast, the playbook, and people are asking the name of it. People can find you at Allison Heart and Soul PR, an extraordinary woman-run PR agency, award-winning innovation, unbelievable initiatives, and also, like me, giving back at all times. A nonprofit tint to everything you do. Any last things you'd like to tell people, or where to find you that I may have missed?
Yeah, heartandsoulpr.com. We're also at Heart and Soul Heart, ANDSOULPR on Instagram. David, I just think what platforms you're creating are amazing. I did a show, Get Your Life Together, an Instagram live series that ran many, many months because, like you said, I want to give back to my community. So anyone who has any questions, I want to just invite them to please send them over to you. I'm happy to answer anything offline as well and just add as much value as I can. And thanks again for having me on.
Come back and visit me. You're incredible. Congratulations. We posted up there, heartandsoulpr.com. Check out Allison Campbell. She is a leader in the industry, making and building brands, emerging brands, and global brands. So some of my favorites, from P&G to Hewlett Packard to Mercedes. She's done it all. Check her out. Thank you, Allison, for joining me.
Thank you so much. Have a
Take
great
care.
day.
She's awesome. All right. They're from everywhere. People that you know and you don't know, changing lives in different ways. No better thing than to build your brand. Coach Missy, it's More Good News Wednesday, and we just met with Allison, and we got more good news. Let's bring on a question from Francesca Witzberg. She's at the Trademark Attorney, and always great to bring on the celebrity attorneys. I'm a recovering lawyer myself. Educated in admiralty law. Here we go. This doesn't fit right here. We got two attorneys. You are a real attorney. I'm as seen on TV. Oh no, you're seen on TV too. But I'm just a recovering lawyer, as many people. Anyway, welcome to Instagram Live. Give me a little bit of background, Francesca, about your specific perspective of the law and what you do. And I thought maybe you had a question for me on this More Good News Wednesday.
Yes, thank you so much for connecting with me, David. I just finished your book, so I feel like, and I watch all your videos, I feel like I know you, so I'm super excited to get the chance to
I'm
talk
like a
to you.
housewife now. People know me, my kids, it's fun to travel. They're like, Julie.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about being a lawyer on social that allows me to really connect. And I love how you put yourself out there. You show what it's like to be you on a day-to-day basis, and that's the next level that I encourage all lawyers to take. But very quickly, my name's Francesca Witzberg. I'm a celebrity attorney and I'm a legal strategist. I'm not just an IP or a contract lawyer, even though that's what I specialize in. I really work holistically to create and design programs for clients to do all the preventative legal work. I try to avoid litigation, and so that's really my mission, is to help businesses stay protected and profitable.
And brands as a business as well. And you do such a great job with celebrities on top of it. Now, did you have a question for me, Francesca?
Yes, I did. So, lawyers, sports professionals, whatever industry it is, we're all kind of taught to think, when people ask us, what do you do? Or who are you? And a lot of responses from legal professionals is, I'm a lawyer, or I'm a paralegal, or maybe I'm a sports agent. But as you've developed and grown, you're not just that. I know, David, that you're an international bestseller. You're an author. I loved your book. I'm sending it to one of my clients this week, just because we were talking about some of the things on how to pick partners. So my question for you is, how do people like me, who are in a traditional professional environment, start writing books and becoming authors?
All right, I'm going to give everyone a lesson. I coach a lot of people on this, and I'd be happy to coach you with more detail than this. But let me give you the general idea. Is number one, ask yourself how you like to communicate. See, I'm an oral communicator, so I'm going to write my book by recording me. and then transcribing it. We're so blessed with technologies that didn't exist. So, my hero, Wayne Dyer, sat at a typewriter. I'm not even sure it's an electronic typewriter. And he, whizzed out The Power of Intention and all the beautiful books that he wrote. For me, I love to teach. I love to speak. I love to train. And so what I do is I use that to write my books. Now, once I decide, do I like to speak my books? Do I like to write them in pencil or computer or typewriter? Once you get that down, now I believe everyone needs to do the same thing. They need to come up with 8 to 10 lessons they want to teach. And those lessons have to be themed in some way, like game time decision making, or connected to goodness, or creating the life you love, or compassionate capitalism. Some of the books that I've written in my new one, Don't Do Business with Dicks, there are lessons and stories. But get 8 to 10 like big life-changing lessons, and then go ahead and make a note of the best story that teaches that lesson. Just one of the best stories, and it could be true. It could be somebody else's story. It could be a combination of 3 stories that you learned from case law in torts or some other thing that you've experienced yourself, and you can combine them. And so what I do is I teach people to get those 8 to 10 lessons in story set, and then outline each chapter based on one lesson and one story. And they outline that, and then do research on the outline. So you're finding, other people's opinions and your opinion and commentary. And so then for me, each chapter is its own little book about a lesson in a story. Then go ahead and get a publishing consultant, which I can refer to anyone. I have the best in the world, who will go ahead and read each chapter individually and give you notes and questions. My favorite comment that I used to get from my publishing consultant is, "This is a Meltzerism." And what that meant was that I was speaking woo-woo, downloading information that was so out there that, in that book, Game Time Decision Making, people were like, "What? It's not what I say, it's what they hear." They were like, "I can't learn anything because this is just crazy woo-woo. Who, traces calligraphies? I'm not getting this," whatever it was. So I'd have to tone it down or tone it back to a voice. But from there, you now have 8 or 10 chapters in a book done. Now you read it yourself, and then you write your introduction from reading your own work. Then you read it once more with the introduction, and you write the conclusion. Now you have an introduction, 8 to 10 chapters, and a conclusion based on lessons and stories that are themed to one objective, like Don't Do Business with Dicks, or whatever it may be. And then you have a publishing consultant read it, finally do all the edits and puts it into the format. And then you go ahead and find an agent, get a publisher, or self-publish, depending on what your objectives are. And like I said, I'm happy to help anyone with the lessons and stories. Now, if you don't want to write a book, this same process of repositing lessons and stories is terrific for interviews, for speeches, all the different things, for teaching my kids. Because we forget everything, right? So I'll have my guys taking notes right now, and when you give me a great lesson or a story, it goes into a repository. I have my own search engine. I transcribe everything. So I can just search, oh my gosh, what was it that Francesca said? Well, I'll go ahead and search, Francesca trademark, how to write a book. And it will bring up that part of this conversation. And then I can go ahead and use that lesson and story somewhere else when I'm writing a speech or getting ready for some interview or a panel or some kind of coaching that I'm doing. So that's my secret sauce. As you know, I give all my secret sauces away. I don't trademark them. I'm like St. Jude Hospital. I give it all away so people can get better.
Amazing. Yeah, I know you're all about giving value, and that's what got you where you are today. So I'm super grateful. Thank you for taking the time and answering that question so well.
I wish I went to law school with you. I needed more nice people to go to law school with, and seemed like big personality, a lot of fun. I went to Tulane, so there was some, but not everyone. So it'd have been nice to go to law school with you as well.
Oh,
take care.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. See you soon. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, check her out, Francesca Witzberg at the Trademark Attorney. So many people have trademark questions. Go ahead, reach out to her. She's extraordinary. Obviously, a great, nice, kind person. I see Riley Strickland in the house. There is my friend at Loom Cube. Let's go ahead, join in with Riley. He wants to talk about the market and why certain products are essential. Hey, give me a smile, buddy. What's up, Riley?
How are you, David? Good to be here.
Great to have you. You know, there's so much going on in your space, and you seem to have a great awareness to how to help people and guide them with what you're doing at LoomCube. So I thought you'd give me a little bit of background about how you're leading the e-commerce booming space that has so many different nuances that change daily.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we manufacture lighting. That's our specialty. And as we know now more than ever, content is king. Whether you are a brand, an individual, an influencer, a streamer, YouTuber, whatever it is, you should be and need to create content. And so for us, it's not just any content, but we believe in high quality content. And a key in high quality content really is lighting. So our business is all about creating portable, unique lighting solutions for content creators, live streamers, video conferencers. And for us, yeah, right now, you nailed it. We are primarily a D2C company. We play in the e-commerce space, online and Amazon, but we do have major retail partnerships, Best Buys, that of the store as well.
You know, I'm have a sizzle reel for a new show I'm doing called Office Hours, and it's been all digital so far. And the interesting thing is that I did a sizzle in a studio without LoomCube, and I've done all of my office hours, or most of them, because I do travel sometimes. The digital side, we've done 200 episodes, more than that. And people, when I took it to the head of Fox and other places, they're like, what kind of lighting did you use here? You should go back. And I was laughing on like Zoom and a LoomCube. And the other one was in studio. And, obviously we ran a sizzle, but it's really important, the lighting. If you see us right now, and because we're capturing and modifying and perpetuating this content, it makes a big difference the way we look in here compared to sometimes I do my IG without the LoomCube, and you don't get the crisp credibility of, even if it's organic content like this, of what it is. How, important is it for people that are doing this, commercial content, personal content, inspirational content to, look good, studio quality light from their telephone?
I mean, that we believe is the ultimate core of it. Originally our business started in photography space, and many people don't know, but the word photography literally means drawing with light. So at the core of any imaging, whether photo or video, lighting is that primary core. And just to look at, for me right now, if I wasn't using lighting, look at the difference that you would see, So we believe the equivalent of showing up on camera, whether it's, a meeting with your boss on a Zoom call or creating YouTube content, TikTok, Instagram Live, if you show up without lighting, it's kind of the equivalent of showing up to a meeting in your sweatpants. It's like, you would never do that. And so if you're going to put yourself out there, we are all fortunate that almost every human in the world today is carrying around a 4K video camera in their pocket. But, for us, the scientists of light that we are, because that phone is so thin, it means that the sensor in the camera is super thin. So it can capture that high quality 4K content when it's well lit, but in a poor lighting environment, that's where it begins to suffer. Because a lens of a camera is very similar to a window. A big window in your house lets in a ton of light. A tiny window lets in a tiny amount of light and literally makes the room look like a prison cell. So for us, that's really what we're all about. And it's been a lot proven, whether it's been live streamers, Instagrammers, YouTubes, who all are endorsing light. We've all heard and seen ring lights. They've probably really endorsed that category more so than anything. But there's been a lot of influencer content around literally doing some A/B testing, posting a video with light, without light, and seeing the videos with light, because at the end of the day, with algorithms, Twitch, Instagram, they're picking up content and dispersing it the more it is engaged with. And better lit content becomes better engaged with, which leads to you being more successful in your passion.
And I think that is what we have seen with the content that I do, which is why we've worked with you guys for so long. And I was so excited to see that you were coming on here, and you actually sent me another one. One of the things that you do really well, I think in over 35 countries now, is the form factor, right? the form factor allows for portability, mobility. It allows for convenience, simplicity, because these content creators are so broad now with, you know, that capacity in your pocket. The lighting capacity in your pocket is essential, or in your bag, or you know, or a backpack. People are just amazed when I have my little setups. I don't know if you've ever been to one of my free Friday trainings that I've done for years, but you know, people are like, how do you, you know, do it on every platform? Because I have IG going, I have LinkedIn going, Facebook going, webinars going, Clubhouse going. Now the lighting is not necessary on Clubhouse, but for everything else it is. And the form factor to me has been a huge value of what you do with the Loom Cube, and be able to set it up so quickly and provide so much power in such a small little square.
That's really been our kind of our forte, and where we've specialized is, you know, you look at any news broadcast studio, you know, those covered in tens of thousands of dollars in massive lighting equipment with cables and wires. And for us, where we believe the future is going is, you know, every little person, just like yourself, is going to be making their own studio, but maybe in their bedroom, maybe in their living room, maybe in their office. And they are kind of building these little studios to broadcast their own content. So for us, you know, we looked at that and saw, well, one, you don't have the space and the ability and the weight to carry all these big lighting equipment and be portable. And then on the flip side, we thought it was kind of irrational for people to be forced to say, if I want good content, I've got to go spend $800, $1,000 on lighting equipment. So, you know, our two top sellers are, you know, it's this one panel mini, the size of a credit card, and this guy's size of an iPhone. So these two things can fit in your pocket. They're as thin as each device, and you're able to, you know, on the go, quickly whip out those lighting, the lighting pieces, and create great content, whether you're running on the go. We have waterproof lights. We have stands, basically creating that home studio with products that, as you mentioned, can kind of fold down, collapse, and then fit in your backpack, and you can keep on going. So that really has been the unique point for us, where we found kind of a hole in the market, and we believe we're here to fill it.
And you guys were there way before the pandemic, and you were successful way before the pandemic. I used you, you know, when I had to do everything live. So as much as, you know, the pandemic and the virtual world, I'm sure, contributed to some great success for you, I will tell you, you know, when I asked and started with, you know, the best podcasters in the world and the best content providers in the world, when I asked them, you know, as a middle-aged sports executive who had no idea, you know, and was hiring media guys and buying a media company, every time, you know, it was Loom Cube, and we had to travel and do everything in person. You know, I had this idea that every one of my interviews had to be in person. And that's changed, by the way, if you haven't seen, by the 800 episodes of the playbook and everything else I've done. Now, all I need is the iPhone 12 and a Loom Cube, and I got my own portable studio. And it works inside and outside. I think a lot of people, right? I'm in my closet right now, and this lighting is as good as anywhere. And you can see it. It's awesome. The only thing I don't like is it reminds me I'm 53 years old. You know, when it's a little darker, I can get away with showing off the grays and the wrinkles, but I don't mind. It's just a representation of my success and experience. How has, though, it changed? I mean, you guys were a successful San Diego business. I'm from San Diego, so I knew about you. But how has the success changed because of the pandemic and people started doing things virtually?
Yeah, it's been an interesting roadmap. You know, we've been fortunate to keep finding our stride year over year. We're about 7 years old. You know, and every year we've pretty much doubled the business and continued to grow. You know, a lot of pivoting in the process. We started with iPhone and GoPro lights, and then kind of scaled up and gone to more photo video content creation. And believe it or not, at CES 2019 is when we launched our first video conference lighting kit for Zoom calls. We launched it in 2019. We actually did a deal with Apple. We launched it on 600 shelves of Apple worldwide. And believe it or not, one of the biggest flops we've ever had. Because at the time, you know, people were very similar to yourself, that, hey, meetings have to be done in person. I'll make the phone call. The virtual world, people hadn't caught up yet. And so when the pandemic came, we were kind of in that space for a little over a year prior. So we were ready. We knew that the solutions we had were necessary. So at least last year, you know, we have a couple different verticals in our business. One of which is the kind of video call, Zoom call, Skype call type business. So that obviously skyrocketed last year. And we were thrilled to be there to help support the transition for a lot of these people who weren't really ready to create a home office and were forced into that. So we had a great success there, and that was wonderful. But then we actually, unexpectedly, while we were focusing on that, saw more of the content creator space growing for us really, really quickly. So, obviously the launch of TikTok through the pandemic was massive for content creation, but a lot of people who might have been displaced from their jobs or chose to leave their jobs due to the pandemic decided, hey, I'm going to start my own YouTube channel. I'm going to start, my own venture and be a young entrepreneur, and I need to create content to do so. And so for us, we have found that the addressable market for our business has grown. And then as a result, the mass awareness of lighting has become, it's almost become an essential need through, if anybody's in this space, they realize that there's limitations with the cameras and devices that they have, especially if they want to be mobile. And so for us, we see that mainly, the future of work being not necessarily an office, but more a work from anywhere, a hybrid of home work plus office work. That's really for us where it's changed our business from a market size perspective. And we've obviously learned a lot about ourselves and now are marketing our company differently and opening up some new verticals. So, it's been an interesting space. And outside of just the product, I think the e-commerce world has experienced a lot of growth through the pandemic because retail had shut down. So people became more in tune with ordering on Amazon, ordering from websites. So for us, we've seen the e-commerce side of our business scale rapidly, as well as some new addressable markets where lighting can be a great solution for them.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's been so many synergies in my life and career with your company coming from San Diego. And my favorite part is I had a close consultant of mine keep pushing me to Zoom. And I remember being at the Apple store and seeing this stuff. He's like, you can get the light. And I'm like, why would I do that? Like, why would I be on Zoom? And he's like, you should buy the Zoom stock. It's going to be a big company someday. And I'm like, why would I do that? Like, Dave Meltzer's in person with the billionaires, millionaires, and entrepreneurs. Why would I ever go on to a Zoom call? And then, March 17th, I remember trying to figure out how the hell can I get a Zoom, a Loom Cube for my Zoom. And now I'm like thousands of Zooms every month. I'm like, thank goodness for this light. Because, I've always carried one with the iPhone. And our cameras, by the way, when we were traveling. And we've done our podcast, which were on Fox Sports and on Amazon and even Bloomberg. We use your lights with a lot of the content that you see there. And we've sold shows on Sizzles with LoomCube. And I want to just tell people the range, whether you're a beginner or you really need high quality stuff. I love, and it's, really affordable, which is really nice because I'm old school studios. I built elevator pitch with Entrepreneur, and it was, a lot of money for that lighting. And to get the same quality here in my closet, I just wanted to thank you. And thank you for allowing me to support you guys and be an influencer. And anything else I can do, please let me know. I think the only negative of having me be an influencer, you're like, no matter how well lit Dave Meltzer is, it's still Dave Meltzer. So thanks.
Hey, we're happy to have you, man.
Right on, man. Thank you so much. Riley Strickland, he is the co-founder and president of San Diego's probably one of their best companies, LoomCube, and it's just growing, loomcube.com. Check them out for all different solutions. If you want to look good, better than me, go to LoomCube. Thanks so much, Riley.
Thanks, Dave.
Take care. Right on. What a great company. What a great guy. I love, you can see a company from the top down, just good people. And I love a good San Diego company that's world renowned. So you can still do business and live in the greatest city in the world because San Diego is amazing. Can everybody else give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? I know Sean Michael Kelly can't hear me, so thank you for the great guest. One Fresh Pillow, my friend Reagan, good to see you. David at dmeltzer.com if you want my books, guides, exercises. If you want the 5 daily practices, David at dmeltzer.com. If you want those books, ebook, audiobook, if you want me to send you my book, sign it and send it, ship it and pay for it, not a problem. Just email me, David at dmeltzer.com. More Good News Wednesday, and Christina Madrigal is here. Could I ask for more good news than that? She is a gem, a light, and a love. Mikey, you're here. Good to see you as well. I got my water walking, but my daughter, I said my water. Riley was so great. Wasn't he? Go to Loom Cube. If you haven't bought one, you got to. Billionaire's Desire. It's More Good News Wednesday. Keaton's in the house with a thumbs up. He can hear me. Everybody loves Jakey Bakey. I'm going to take one question, and then we are going to move on and all receive today more good news. Let me see here. I love this. Should I put health and fitness first than money? Look, the best piece of advice I can give you is if you are healthy, you get as many wishes a day as you want. And if you're not healthy, you only get one wish. So yes, you can't give what you don't have. You have to take care of yourself. Give a minimum of an hour a day, every day, 7 days a week for your health. It'll be the best hour you ever spend. If you give that hour to yourself, you will receive more than 2 hours a day. I promise you, 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. So imagine what an hour a day or a minimum of an hour a day is worth comparatively on a Saturday, right? It's amazing. So give yourself the gift of wishes. Be healthy. Figure out I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it? That's the major shift in the paradigm that I want you to have to empower you, to empower others, to be happy. Learn how to do that from my book, david@dmeltzer.com. Ebook, audiobook, I'll sign a book, send it to you. Pay for shipping, david@dmeltzer.com. Just email me. I answer everything myself. Maybe a little bit quick on the email, but I will answer it myself. I want to thank the incredible guest today, as every day on More Good News Wednesday, Allison Campbell, extraordinary PR, heart and soul PR, Francesca, my trademark attorney, the trademark attorney, and of course, one of the greatest companies in San Diego and even in our country now, Loom Cube, loomcube.com, lighting and brightening up our day and our night and increasing the quality of our content to modify it, amplify it, and perpetuate it everywhere, to send our lessons and stories, to inspire, to create the aspiration of the possibilities, the probabilities, and probabilities to perspective. Reach out to me, david@dmeltzer.com. Remember, most importantly, it's More Good News Wednesday. I'm here every Wednesday bringing in more good news. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow. Thankful Thursdays. Bye.